Hello and welcome to Arise News. It is Friday, the 17th of February 2017. I'm Jeff Koinange in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. This is Arise News Now. And here are some of the stories making headlines around the world. U.S. President Donald Trump launches a stinging attack on the media, even as his new pick for National Security Advisor turns down the job. A bomb ripped through a shrine in southern Pakistan, leaving more than 70 dead. And vandalism in Nigeria's volatile Niger Delta has led to millions of dollars in losses from oil revenues. But the government is now fighting back. We have an exclusive interview with the country's top law enforcement official. To the top story now, and in an effort to deflect mounting criticism against himself and his new administration, U.S. President Donald Trump has launched a blistering attack on the media for putting out what he calls fake news. In an extraordinary press conference in the East Wing of the White House, Trump claimed he has achieved more in his first 4 weeks in office than any other president in U.S. history. Trump also said that when he took over just 4 weeks ago, he inherited what he called a mess, both domestically and abroad.
We're looking at him very serious. I've gone to all of the folks in charge of the various agencies, and I've actually called the Justice Department to look into the leaks. Those are criminal leaks. Russia is fake news. This is fake news put out by the media. We will be issuing a new and very comprehensive order to protect our people, and that'll be done sometime next week, toward the beginning or middle at the latest part. To be honest, I inherited a mess. It's a mess. Unfortunately, much of the media in Washington, D.C., along with New York, Los Angeles in particular, speaks not for the people, but for the special interests and for those profiting off a very obviously broken system. The press has become so dishonest that if we don't talk about it, we are doing a tremendous disservice to the American people. Tremendous disservice. The nominee for Secretary of the Department of Labor will be Mr. Alex Acosta.
At the same time, Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for greater ties between Russia and American intelligence agencies in order to improve their common fight against global terrorism, particularly against Islamic extremist groups like ISIS. Speaking in a televised speech, the Russian president told the country's FSB intelligence agency that even a simple exchange of basic information could radically improve joint efforts against the threat posed by militant organizations. In his speech, Putin also criticized NATO over its expansion around Russia's borders and said the U.S.-led bloc was, quote, constantly provoking Moscow. But he added that improving dialogue with the special intelligence services of the United States and other NATO members was in everyone's mutual interest. The relationship between President Trump's administration and Moscow is currently under close scrutiny following allegations that Putin Now, the relationship between President Trump's administration and Moscow is currently under close scrutiny following allegations that Putin ordered a hacking campaign to help get Trump elected. Now, joining me to discuss all this news from the U.S. and beyond, as always, Arise News editorial director Nick Jennings. Nick, what a tirade against the media yesterday.
I don't really know where to start, Jeff. I mean, President Trump spoke for an hour and 17 minutes, and we've got 2 minutes to try and unpick and analyse what he said. I mean, I think top line it was a masterclass in deflection and deniability. When he said that he's done more in his first 4 weeks than any other American president, he was partly right. He's done more to cause controversy in his first 4 weeks than any other American president. But I mean, looking at some of the things he said, it was just quite an astonishing tirade, particularly the attack on the media. You've got the White House press corps there who have been, they're very experienced, long-serving journalists that, for many it's the pinnacle of their career. These are professional journalists that reported on, previous administrations. So to be told that they're coming out with fake news is a real insult to their profession. Yeah. That's point one. Point two, he talks about it being a finely tuned machine, but any independent and neutral observer would look at the first 4 weeks of his presidency and say it's been extremely turbulent and there's been an awful lot of controversy and issues that are global news.
Yeah.
And specifically, it goes looking at that Putin thing, calling for closer intelligence ties. That is what goes to the heart of the controversy. It's America's relationship with Moscow.
At the same time, Nick, you have to ask yourself, this began as an introduction of his new Labour Secretary nominee. That's what it was. But apparently, Trump told his staff, I want to speak to I want to address the press. So this was hurriedly put together.
Well, as I said, it was a masterclass in deflection and deniability, trying to counter all the criticisms of his tenure so far. But here's a couple of facts. I mean, his nominee now to replace Michael Finn, Rear Admiral Robert Harwood, has turned the job down.
Turned it down.
He's citing family commitments, but insiders are saying it's because he wanted to bring his own team in. Because at the core of the Trump administration, there are leaks going on. Yeah. There are leaks coming out of the intelligence services. There are leaks coming out of Trump's administration.
It's like a sieve, Nick.
It is like a sieve. Now, Trump has also announced that he's going to appoint listen to this, he's going to appoint New York billionaire Steven Feinberg, who's never had any security experience in his life, to lead a sweeping review of the intelligence agencies, the US intelligence agencies, that's the FBI and the NSA. So the problems with intelligence and the relationship with Moscow and what Moscow intelligence knows about American intelligence goes to the root of his problems.
Nick, bottom line, today is exactly 4 weeks since Trump has been in office. I mean, what an incredible 4 weeks it's been.
Well, he said he was going to clear the swamp. All he's done is muddy it, and you can't get any clarity on really what the truth is.
Yeah, the swamp is definitely not going to be drained anytime soon, Nick. Good to see you. Nick Jennings there, Rise News editorial director. In other news, the body of Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, remains in a Kuala Lumpur morgue this morning after Malaysian officials rejected a request from Pyongyang to release the body. Now, forensic specialists are still carrying out tests on samples from Kim's body to try to determine precisely what poison was sprayed in his face as he arrived at Kuala Lumpur International Airport to board a flight. The Malaysian authorities now say the body will not be released until his family have provided DNA samples so that they can get an accurate identity check. Time for a quick short break now, but please do stay with us. Plenty more news ahead. You're watching Arise News Now, live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're back in a moment.
There is nothing as symbolic as a door. It shuts to protect you and opens to give you much more. Everyone wants to succeed, not just count pennies. When life gets tough, I remember a few things. Difficulty and struggles are part of what life brings. Your strength comes from the support around you. A true friend believes in what you do, there to hold your hand through any weather. I found my partner, and we walk through doors together. Diamond, your bank.
And welcome back to Arise News Now, live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I'm Jeff Kinegi. Now, news from around the world, and a nationwide security crackdown is enforced in Pakistan after more than 70 people died in a bomb attack on a Sufi shrine in the town of Sehwan in Sindh province, 200 kilometers northeast of Karachi. 20 children were among those killed. The Islamic State group ISIS has claimed responsibility for the attack, as police say they have killed more than 20 terrorists in overnight raids across the country and arrested dozens. Now, forensic experts are still examining the scene of the explosion at the shrine of Lal Shahbaz Kalanda. The provincial government has announced 3 days of mourning. In Baghdad, a powerful car bomb ripped through a used car market in the south of Iraq's capital, killing more than 50 people in the deadliest such attack this year. The explosion sent a thick plume of dark gray smoke billowing into the sky above BR neighborhood and caused extensive damage, with bodies strewn everywhere. The attack drew condemnation from the United States and the United Nations, while Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi called an urgent meeting of his security chiefs. More than 50 other people were wounded in the attack. To Somalia now, and the country's newly elected president, Mohamed Abdullahi, hasn't officially been sworn in, but already several explosions were heard Thursday near the presidential palace during the handover ceremony. Al-Shabaab extremists claimed responsibility for the mortar attack that left 2 children dead. The attack underlines the challenge facing Abdullahi, who's popularly known as Farmajo, has inherited an administration with limited control over Somali territory due to the presence of Al-Shabaab, and is heavily propped up by the international community. Sources close to the new president say an official inauguration ceremony will be held on February the 22nd, with leaders from neighboring countries expected to attend. To Angola now, and Portuguese prosecutors have charged Angolan Vice President Manuel Vicente with corruption over allegations he bribed a magistrate with roughly $800,000 to drop 2 investigations against him. Vicente, who was the president of the Angolan National Oil Company, Sonangol, at the time of the alleged crime, is charged with bribery, money laundering, and document falsification, according to the public prosecutor's office. Also being charged are the vice president's lawyer, his business partner in Portugal, and a Portuguese magistrate who allegedly accepted the bribe. Vicente has denied any involvement in the affair, saying shortly after the magistrate's arrest that he had, quote, absolutely nothing to do with any payment. To Nigeria now, and the government of Nigeria has been struggling with criminal elements in the Niger Delta region on 2 fronts. There are those that are keen on vandalizing the pipelines, and they have wreaked havoc on the Nigerian economy as there has been a massive decline in oil production. Then there are those that seem to just milk the pipelines and illegally refine the crude into petrol and diesel for sale locally. Now, these criminal activities are being countered by one of the security agencies, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Now, security agents have destroyed over 1,500 illegal refineries in the last 2 years alone. Last week, they destroyed 10 within the Port Harcourt area. Joining me now to discuss all this is Helen Amakri. She's the Assistant Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Helen, good to see you. So you've been on the ground, you've seen for yourself. Paint a picture for us, if you will, about these refineries. How are they set up? Who are these people? How are they able to do this?
Yeah, I will talk from my experience in Rivers State when I was the state commandant. There we found out that there are a lot of stakeholders that are involved in this criminal act. We have those that are the political class. We have community leaders, youths. We even have contractors who work for the oil companies, and even some oil company workers who are out to sabotage the efforts.
It looks like everyone is involved.
Exactly, that's what I'm
All
saying.
across the board.
All across the board.
From politicians to oil workers to the community.
Yes. They are all